God be in my head and in my heart and in my understanding. Amen. Amen. Please be seated. I believe in angels, messengers of God. And I love to hear and to read angel stories. Experiences people tell about moments when, in one way or another, they feel their lives touched by angels. And it happens in all sorts of different ways. I had one of these angel moments this past week as I was preparing today's gospel. As I was reading it and studying it, which is the way I prepare, praying and meditate on it, I had one of those moments. The story about Jesus miraculously healing the 12-year-old child of Jairus after the child had fallen into the sleep of death. I was having trouble getting started because I know very well that not always in this life does the miracle we want for ourselves or the miracle we want for our loved ones, not always in this life does that miracle come to be. Even in matters of life and death, even when it's the life of a child or an adolescent, not always do the ones we pray for rise up and walk out of danger. So as much as I do believe that Jesus has the power to do exactly what the gospel said he did, I can't help but think of children I have known. Children who have left this life, who have left this life long before it seemed like it should be their time to leave. None of these children who died were children of my body, but all of them will be children of my heart. For one, I was an aunt, his mother's sister. For others, I was a teacher, or a youth worker, or a priest. Some of the children of my heart died in adolescence, or in young adulthood. Others, like one who died recently, Beth Coy, she reached the age of 50 before she died, and I have others that have reached a more mature age. But they're still children of my heart. It still leaves a hole in the world and questions about why at 71 almost am I still here and the children of my heart have left before me. I feel blessed that they came into my life, even though it may have just been for a moment in time. As a pastor, I've also had the blessing of knowing several people who lived to a ripe old age. I even had one woman with whom I celebrated a 100th birthday. They all had led full lives, lives with much love, lives blessed with children, grandchildren, and great-children, some of their bodies, some of their hearts. But they also lived their long lives with many losses. A baby stillborn in one case. A son dead from cancer in his 30s for another one. A granddaughter killed in a car accident while still in her teens for another one. And like all parents and grandparents whose children die too young, they could not help but wonder why something like the healing of Jairus' daughter did not happen for their own child, or for their own grandchild, or for their own great-grandbaby. Of course, the truth is that there is no answer to that question, why? And our attempts to explain it, our attempts to explain what we do not and cannot understand not only fall short, but sometimes they cause even more pain. When we try to tell someone why their child died. You can't do it. We really don't know. When our hearts are breaking Explanations are the very last thing we need. So I asked for help. I asked for help to know what it is that we do most need to hear at times like this. I asked for help to discern the message God would have me speak today as we tell this story of a child brought back to life. I asked for help from God and God's angels. And two things happened. Two things happened. First, a song came to mind. For me, angel messages often come to me by way of songs that are called to mind. This song was one entitled, I Believe. Anybody know that? It's an old song. My grandmother used to play it on the piano when I was a little girl, and she'd have me sing it along with her. The lyrics go like this. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe. I believe. I believe above a storm, the smallest prayer can still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, I touch a leaf or see the sky, then I know why. I believe. The song is certainly an affirmation that nothing in this life is lost. And singing it again, which I did as I sat in my rocking chair and recalled it, singing it again highlighted for me some of the first words that Jesus says to Jairus in this gospel story when Jairus first approaches him and tells him about his daughter. Jesus tells Jairus, don't be afraid, just believe. Just trust, just believe. But I still felt there had to be something more. There had to be something more to the message than just believe. Believe what? Trust what? So as I often do when my thoughts are stuck, I decided to do something else for a while. I started straightening some things up in my home office, which if you ever have seen my home office, you realize is no easy task. And while I was shuffling through some things, books, papers, all sorts of things, as I was shuffling through them, I happened upon a card that someone had given me a very long time ago. It was called an angel card. And I hadn't seen it, I don't think, in a long, long time. And printed on that card were these words, and I quote, your children on earth and in heaven are happy and well cared for by God and the angels. The card just fell out on the floor. The moment I read those words, I heard them as a message of truth. A message of truth. A sacred reality. A sacred reality which I think maybe God was trying to speak to me so that I could share it with you this morning. So I want to read the words again because perhaps somewhere in somebody's heart out there, as in mine, as I thought about Beth, as I thought about Chris Melton, as I thought about Tommy Welch, my nephew, as I thought about all these children that left too early. Somewhere that was important for me to hear. All these children, your children, the ones that are still on earth and the ones that are in heaven, are happy somewhere inside of themselves, whether they know it or not. They're happy and they're well cared for by God and the angels. The message I hear in those words is this. We do not need to be afraid, not for ourselves or our children. We do not need to be afraid for any of our loved ones. We can believe with minds and hearts assured that God's care for all of us never ends. It never ends. We are all children of God. No exceptions. No exceptions. Not just the children that are on these rolls or on Christian rolls someplace. Not just the children that go to mosque faithfully or synagogue faithfully. Not the children that belong to just any one faith community. All of those children and all of the children that belong to none. All of the children of every age. All of God's children. If our God is too small to take in all that God has created, then there's something in the way we're understanding God. But we are all God's children. And all of God's children, both on earth and in heaven, are never separated from the love of God. God and God's angels will always give us steadfast care whenever we need it. Therefore, we need not fear, but only believe. May we come to see that it is already so.
Amen.